So the first thing we're going to go over when adding value to objects is tonal shading, or shading. When you're shading, what you're going to do is you should probably keep your pencil kind of flat on the flat side instead of using the point, so you can avoid getting real sharp lines, because that turns into more of hatching or cross-hatching. You control how dark it is, number one, by how hard you press on your pencil. And also, number two, how many times you go over the same area. It also helps add realism to your work if you follow the contour of the object which you are shading. So if it has a curved line, you should be shading using curved lines. If it's straight, then you should probably use straight lines to shade. Now, as you're adding value, you're going to want to make sure that it gradually gets lighter to darker, and that generally objects aren't going to have like one hard line where at one point it's light and the next part it's dark. So what I'm doing right here is I'm using my finger. Now, this is probably not the best habit to get into because the oils in your hand have a tendency to mess with the paper. Okay, it mixes with the graphite that's on the paper, and it doesn't always end up being the smoothest that it could possibly be. However, it's an easy habit to slip into because, well, you have your finger readily available. There are other things that you can use as well. One of the things that I've mentioned was a tortillon, or also known as a blending stump. Some of you guys got that as part of your art supply kits. Another option that you could use, that I use here after adding more, sorry for the shake guys, is a Q-tip. Q-tips help as well. Has a nice soft point, so it'll avoid adding oil to your paper and it will give you a nice smooth gradual change. I have a lot of Q-tips that you guys can use. You don't need to bring in your own. It's just a one-time use kind of thing, so after you're done with them, I want you to go ahead and make sure that you throw them away. So after you've used your Q-tip for a little bit, you can also take the end that's dirty now and use it to add more value to your work. You don't even need to get your pencil out again. You can just use the Q-tip and what's already on it, or cotton swab I should say, and add some gradual blending and shading with that. Now, after you've been shading for a while, you might find that you've covered up some of the highlights, some of the lighter parts. So go ahead and take an eraser. This one I'm using is just the black block erasers, but you can also use the gum erasers that I gave you guys. The gum erasers are good because you can get into those little teeny tiny spots without messing up and erasing the dark spots that you want to keep. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking my pencil and I'm kind of filling in some of that negative space around the cup, around the mug and its handle. Because objects don't have a black line around it. You are able to see the edges of the objects because of the differences in value or color between the object and its surroundings, its negative space. So I'm using pencils, I'm using the dirty, the cotton swab that I used to shade earlier to go ahead and add some value around the mug so I don't have to depend so much on that contour line. That just makes your artwork look a little bit more realistic and a little less cartoonish. Another way to add value is to use hatching. So with hatching, you're going to draw lines in one direction. The darker values you create by putting your lines closer together and or by pressing harder on your pencil. And then for softer values, you're going to space your lines further apart and or don't press so hard on your pencil. Now, whether you use tonal or whether you use hatching or cross hatching just kind of depends on what you want. If you want sharp edges, then I would suggest using hatching or cross hatching. If you want like a softer, rounder effect, then you would use tonal. It's really artist preference, and a lot of artists use both in their work.